Welcome back to Barn Find AeroSpace. Pop's made some nice seat frames for our plane. They're the old-fashioned kind with S-springs, like an old pickup truck. Here, Dad's welding steel tabs on those frames to hold the springs in place. Here's one of the welds that turned out looking semi-presentable. We're not showing any of the others. Installing the springs is kind of a wrestling match. First, you have to bend the tabs into a right angle. When you look up metal properties under malleable or workable, stainless steel isn't on that list at all. Then you have to wrestle the spring in place. Then you have to work fast and bend the tab over before the spring goes all springy right into your face, and the next thing you know, you're waiting in the ER to get your face stitched up. And, like most worthwhile jobs, you finish it off with some hammer bashing. For quick and easy rust protection, I like this product, except for the price. And, for some reason, they haven't reached out to us with a sponsorship offer and lots of free paint. Other than that, it's a decent product. It dries to a kind of industrial metallic look. Seems to be pretty durable. You can also weld through it if you have no sense of smell at all. Rattle can paint products have improved a lot, but the nozzles still suck. Yokel tip, soak them in paint thinner and blow them out with compressed air. Pops had an idea that these seats would be pretty comfortable if you threw a saddle pad over them, so we had to call in equestrian daughter for a sit test. Like all precision aerospace testing, this has to be done in the bed of a pickup truck. Of course, our first question was, do they sit better with a Western or an English saddle pad? Tried the Western first. So what do you think, equestrian daughter? Now she's going to try the English saddle pad, which is softer and thinner and a lot purpler. Is that any better? What do you think? Apparently, English doesn't sit quite right either. How about we try them both? What do you think? Is that any better? Eventually, we're going to need some upholstery covers on these seats, and we're wondering whether this is something we can do ourselves or if we need to pay someone who knows what they're doing. We do have Granny Jane's actual sewing machine. And these are her scissors, the very same ones she used to make the upholstery and the curtains for the military surplus AT-17 she bought and used to haul Pops and the other kids around the country in. If you haven't figured it out, Granny Jane is kind of a hard act to follow. So, by way of experimentation to see how close to competent we can get with our sewing, we got some marine upholstery fabric, which is fire rated by the Coast Guard and the California State Fire Marshal and the ATSM, but not the FAA. Apparently, the FAA charges a lot more to try and set stuff on fire than all those other government agencies, and their rated stuff is a lot more expensive. This is one of the nice things about an experimental aircraft build. Yeah, you want your seat covers to be rated fire resistant, but unlike a certified aircraft, it doesn't have to be the FAA who says so. It seemed like we were doing okay on our test samples, so we bought this inexpensive fabric, about the same weight and texture as the marine fabric. We'll see if we can make a passable seat cover, or whether we need to turn this job over to a pro. We also got this big roll of wool felt, pretty much the same as what they make saddle pads out of. Don't worry, it's fire rated too. The thickness and density we got starts out soft like an English saddle pad, but the more you press it, it starts to firm up like Western. So it should be just about right. Of course, there's still that little matter of the 10,000 holes that need to be deburred, dimpled, and riveted. We're still plugging away at that. There's an occupational sanity risk here. Even if you don't go crazy, it does get tedious. We found a way to make deburring go faster. Instead of having to deburr one side of the hole, then come around to the other side, leaving a bit of scalp on the wing stand as you pass by, Then do the other side of the hole. We tried the Cogsdill Burroway. Cogsdill is another company that has neglected to sponsor us with free tools, but other than that, this thing's a sanity saver. Deburrs both sides of the hole about this fast. Last time we showed the easy way to dimple, but that tool doesn't work if the hole's way out in the middle of the sheet. When you're working in from the edges, you have to do it this way. It's slow and annoying, but at least you get to bash with a hammer, which always makes any job more satisfying. There is an even slower and more annoying way to dimple sheet metal. This one's for when you're working in a tight space. You need a set of dimpling dies, a nail, and a rivet gun. But, unfortunately, this job does not involve a hammer. Another iron we've got in the fire is designing wingtips. A great way to start an argument on the internet is asking about the aerodynamics of wingtips, and we aren't going there. So maybe all this effort will lower the drag or lower the stall speed or something. What we know it will do is make a window to install landing lights without having to cut into the leading edge of the wing. The design starts out here in CAD, kind of like a virtual barn, if you will. The great thing about CAD is you can keep tweaking your design again and again as many times as you want. The biggest problem with CAD is you can keep tweaking your design again and again as many times as you want. The plan is to use the CAD model to make 3D prints for a mold and then lay up fiberglass in that mold for the final part. But one of the most important things in CAD is making sure that your part in the virtual barn is going to fit the part in your actual barn. Here's the wing profile from our CAD model. We printed it out full size, spray mounted it to cardboard, cut it out, and transported it to our most advanced testing facility, the chicken coop. It's the moment of truth. Does our model fit our wings? Looking pretty good. This doesn't always happen the first time through. So we can add this to the long list of historical aviation breakthroughs that happened in a chicken coop.